It's going to be about things that no one talks about, especially in the content creation, podcasting, and digital content space. People might think it's so easy to do this because it's just sitting and talking, but it's not. I feel to create content, you also need to consume content. I have realized that optimizing your environment makes a huge difference. When you feel burnout, I think you should acknowledge it. We pressurize ourselves looking at someone else. That, oh, this person can do it, but their situation is different. Their circumstance is different than yours. So you don't need to compare yourself like that with anyone. I read this very interesting quote this morning. Don't worry if people aren't happy for you. They aren't happy for themselves either. There are 7+ billion people in the world, you know, and we only think about the 500 people around us. And those 500 people ain't important. Every time I shoot an episode, like every time, I'd be like, I didn't do it right. I didn't do well. I could have done this. I could have done that. I could have asked this. I could have asked that. And that constantly just goes on and plays in my mind. Hi guys, this is Shruti. Welcome to my podcast. I'm just curious. Today I'm shooting yet another solo episode, and I'm going to be talking about something which has been on my mind since quite some time, and it's something that's very important. That from the title of the video, I think you guys must have understood that it's going to be about things that no one talks about, especially in the content creation, podcasting, and digital, content space. So I've been thinking since a long time of doing like another solo episode after my first one. And I was feeling like, oh my God, yeah, something, the topic wasn't coming to my mind. And, I was feeling all these things where I was feeling a little bit of burnout as well. And, couple of things like that, like creative block, burnout, all of that stuff, right? I was like pushing myself to think of a topic and to get on with it and do an episode. But then I realized that maybe I should do an episode on this. Maybe I should do an episode on things that people experience when they're making content, when they are shooting a podcast or whatever type of content they shoot, and what goes into it. Like what are the things they experience, and how do they deal with that. I'm sure everyone has a different process. Everyone is different that way in their own ways of making things and putting it out there, and how they want to present it, and how much of time and energy and effort they want to put into it. So it's very subjective. So this episode is all going to be about my experience and me looking at this world from my lens, what I think. I hope you guys can take a few things from here and there from my journey of what I felt and what I feel. And hopefully it helps you. And hopefully you can strategize better when if you are planning to get into, content creation and podcasting and, all of that in general. So let's talk about, first of all, the burnout, right? Because that's the first thing that I experienced. And that was very evident. So I have, over the years of, since it's been 2 years since I've been I've been shooting my podcast. And it's been I've experienced burnout every now and then, because it's something that takes up too much of your energy, because you're constantly around people, you're constantly talking, and you're on the go, you don't have sometimes time to eat, you have to meet deadlines and schedules. And I'm sure this is in every field, so I'm not saying that this is you know anything different. But what I'm trying to say is that I love doing this, right? I've not been like, oh, I don't want to do this or anything. But I felt like, energy wise, I couldn't see myself pushing more, because I felt like this is the limit I've reached. Now, if I push myself more and force myself to do something, even though I enjoy it and even though I love it, it might not turn out to be the best for my health and overall the quality of content also that I put out. So I was like, okay, maybe I should make this and maybe I should talk about this, and how I deal with the burnout, what I do. So, what I felt like the best way for me to deal with it, or was to like feel easy about it, was to just talk about it, right? I think so many times we all feel these things weighing heavy on us. it's because that we are experiencing it in solitude. If we just talk about it, if we just share it, then it's out there and then we've just let it out of our system. And rather than it just weighing down on us or pressuring us or whatever, so because I have this pressure of, okay, I have to shoot another solo episode, and what is the topic that I'm going to do, and what is this, and so I felt like might as well just talk about this only. And so this was one point that I felt that, okay, I can talk about it, and then that becomes like a whole episode rather than me thinking of like a particular topic to talk about. So, and that felt very easy and natural. And the moment I had that thought, I was very excited. I was like, yeah, I want to do this. Even before, like, I was very excited to do another solo, but especially like when that pressure went away of like looking for a topic and just talking about a particular topic. When I was like, okay, if I don't get a topic, I'll just talk about how I feel like about this in the moment. And that felt exciting. So I feel like when you feel burnout, I think you should acknowledge it. You should not like pressurize yourself or force yourself to push further in the name of hustle, in the name of being ambitious, in the name of getting things done, and all of that stuff, right? All that's been marketed to us, that as a good thing to do. That, oh, you should be a hustler. You should be. There's nothing wrong in it, and it's important also. But you need to figure out for yourself, like, where do you draw the line? Like, what is your level of burnout that you can take and how much you can push through. So these are, like I said, very subjective, so you need to figure that out for yourself, and you need to give yourself that space. And I felt like I did. Like, I was like, okay, I didn't force myself, and once I had this topic in mind, I was even excited to do it. And then I was like, okay, then I need to like probably make a list of things that I want to talk about that nobody talks about, in this space particularly. Some of the points might be generic and might apply to all the work, like all the professions, or like anything that someone chooses to do, like a burnout can be experienced in any profession, right? But some of the things will be very specific to it. One of the point that comes to my mind, which is very particular to this field, or some people might think it's generic again, which is having genuine liking and interest for doing something. I have seen so many people, or like, we all see people on the internet who like want to do this just because someone else is doing it, and because they feel like it's the it thing right now, it's very in, and so maybe that fear of missing out for some people can be so real, right? And but if that's the case, you should probably not get into content creation or podcasting or any sort of like digital content space or something. Because of course, you if you're not gonna like it, you're gonna burn out sooner, and you're gonna have quicker moments of burnout, which is not going to be very helpful, and it's not going to make you very productive in your work. So instead, you're being very counterproductive. You are, instead of being getting good results, you're going to get like not just average, but you can get like bad results as well because of that thing, because of just doing it for the sake of it. And if you don't have a genuine interest, you will not be able to even push through. And because these things require crazy amount of working hours, energy, and especially the editing part. Like, I can't even talk about, don't even get me started on the editing part, because I'm very lucky to have help. I've worked with some amazing editors, and they've been very amazing, and they've been very helpful, and they've been very accommodating. But still, it's been very all consuming, and still it's been very like weighing down sometimes, and very tiring, to be very honest. Even though you have editors, but I prefer to check my own edits myself every time I put out an episode. So until unless I feel that it's perfect, I don't let it go out, which can mean that, oh, I have to watch like 4 or 5 edits of the same episode, like back to back to back. And that is not fun. Sometimes, it's that's the behind the scenes stuff that people don't even see that sometimes people might just think that, oh, you shot the episode, you give it to the editor, and then that's fine, right? That's just it. But that's not the case. Like, only if you want to put out a certain quality of content out there, then you have to be very sure that it goes through you. You check through it and you filter through it and all of that to put the best stuff out there. Only if you have that kind of mindset. If you have the kind of mindset that, hey, I don't care, like, I'm just doing it like for the sake of it, I don't care like how the editor makes it, but then you also got to be sure that then it's not going to like be received that way, that it's not going to have that kind of impact, then it's not going to have that kind of um hook to it, or like people are not going to resonate with it that much, because all these things, people can always figure out if something's been handcrafted, made well, with so much time and effort and passion. It shows. And if you think that, oh, I can just hire an editor and it's going to be fine, then you're going to receive a very subpar, you're going to give out very subpar quality. So it again comes to the point that it's going to be very counterproductive rather than being very productive and giving you good results that you are expecting and hoping, and seeing other people have, when you see their content. So this is, I feel like, one of the major things. And I whenever somebody asks me that, this is such a in thing right now, I want to try it out, I want to do this, I'm always encouraging. Like, I'm always like, yeah, you should do it. And to everybody, right? But I also encourage, like, this one thing, that it should be about you more than about the people. You should be catering to yourself before you cater to people. I'll tell you why. Is because that only then you can put in 100% of yourself. When you're doing things for other people, you will give up at some point. But if you're doing things for yourself, there's no limit to it. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep improving. You're going to keep learning new things. You're going to, you just keep at it. You will not get bogged down. Like, say, if an edit didn't turn out fine, if you shot and the sound wasn't fine, or the framing wasn't fine, or maybe sometimes it can happen. Sometimes it happens with people that the footage didn't get recorded at all. So when all those things happen, the only thing that can keep you moving is if you're doing it for yourself. Like, if you are really into it, and before the world, you feel like, yeah, you want to do it. Which brings me to the second point, which is interconnected to my second point, is that having genuine interest, but also in a way, you also need to have a kind of personality, and a kind of personality is a broad term, but I feel like the core person that you are, the core character that you are in life in general, it should not contradict that. Like, I'll give an example, right? So when I started doing this, even when I thought of, wanting to do this or start doing this, there was this other contradictory thought that came to my mind, which was a very, both the even that thought was correct. It was like, there's some part of me that was looking out for me, which was like, telling me that, oh, but you're such a sensitive person, you get drained very quickly when you're around too many people. How are you going to do this? Like, and social media is a very challenging field to be in that way. And I've been someone who's been very comfortable uh, being with only my close people, right? And here I'm meeting new people every day, I'm working with so many people, and and it takes energy, and sometimes that's something that it drains me. And I've been aware of that. So I think that was my concern, and I was like, okay, what if it just drains me, and what if, like, I'm not able to like push through it, or and what if it takes like a toll on my health, like physically, like, and in general also, I'm not a big foodie, so my appetite and my, like, food habits, like, keep fluctuating. So I was concerned about those legit reasons, that what if, like, all of that takes a toll on you, not eating on time even more than before. But then I was like, then I had to decide for myself. I had to decide that, okay, these things are legit. these personality concerns, these, like, some of these things, that is a core part of me, right? Then you have to decide that how are you going to tackle those, because they are going to come up. Because, like I said, why I feel burnout that quickly or something, because of that reason. But then you have to figure out before you start that, okay, these are the things that I can be affected by. And you have to beforehand at least have a little bit of idea on how are you going to tackle those when they happen. At least a little bit. Nobody can predict the whole picture at first, but at least a little bit, because it will happen at some point. So that's what I did. I was like, okay, I'm prepared that these are the negative sides that it could affect my food habits. It could, like, hamper my eating habits again. Like, I might not eat on time more and more, and what all of that stuff. And so how am I going to deal with that? Like, how am I going to make sure that that does not happen? Like, my eating habits are not affected by the work that I'm doing. And when you do that, I think you are it makes you feel less pressure in a sorts when that situation arises. You are more prepared that way. If you are aware of the things that might happen, you can prepare yourself, which is what I did. So every time I used to be like, and it's a gradual process. It happened gradually. Earlier I would like skip meals between shoots, but then I decided that even if I eat one small thing like a sandwich, or like, a croissant, maybe like something that comes in very handy, something that you can travel with. I get it, I know that it's still not like a equivalent to having like a proper lunch or a proper meal. I get that. But I was like, at least it's better than not having anything, right? So that's how you prepare. Like, that's how you stay aware, and then, prepare for a situation that, yeah, see, this is going to happen. And it's with me, the thing is that I can push through even if I've not had lunch. Like, I can just shoot the whole day and just have like a dinner in the evening, like around 7 8 or something. But then that's not healthier. So I was like, okay, we're not going to do that, and we're going to figure out a system. And so I did. So now, even if it's like a small thing, but I try to eat something or drink some lemonade or some fresh juice or something, so that I have energy. One other thing that I see in, you know this space, like content creation, when I see people creating different kinds of content online, one of the common things that I see is the beauty content. Especially, there are two segments that I see content on a lot, which is, one is like the beauty segment, and one is like the podcast segment. So I'll first talk about what I see, what my observation is in the beauty segment, right? In the beauty segment, I've seen that there are so many people that have entered this space, and it is such an exciting space to be in. Like, to be very honest, like, I don't have the bandwidth to do something like that, but I really, kudos to all the people who do it, because I know how much time and effort and energy it takes to, create content in that space. So I have full respect for anyone who is pursuing that, side, space of content creation. But I also feel there's one thing lacking, which is originality and individuality, which can actually make your content 100 times better. If you I feel like there's this fear, or there is this that, oh, formula that one fits all. If one thing has worked, everyone's doing that same thing. No one's going out of the box and thinking that, oh, what I can do differently in this. How can I contribute into this? How can I showcase my personality, my thoughts, my views, and, you know, create something from that space? What I see, on the contrary, instead of that, is everyone doing just the same thing. If everyone do it is every if one person's doing like a beauty tutorial, like makeup tutorial or skincare tutorial or whatever, then everyone's doing that. It's and in some of those videos, people are using the same products as well. There's no like, apart from like a few like products, there's not even change in the kind of in the kind of products that they are using also. So it's not fun for the viewer to watch. So, my as you can see, the point that I'm trying to make is that when as a viewer, when you think of it, that, oh, everyone's doing this, so how am I different? Like, how am I doing this differently? So now I'll come to the podcasting space, right? And so again, in the same thing, like when it came to me starting this, I was like, okay, everyone's doing this, everyone's doing the same thing, how can I make it different? So I did try my hands on, like, creating like a talk show, which is like a more brand promotion based and stuff. I even do this now, which is like a solo podcast, which not many people are doing. So I feel like that's how I differentiate myself. And so you also have to figure out that how will you differentiate yourself in a crowded space like that? Like, how will you bring in your personality and add value to whatever you are making by showcasing more of who you are rather than what someone else is doing and how they are doing it, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's these are the things that might seem initially, when you start, you might feel like, oh, it's not a big deal, like I can just first start from whatever's been working, and then maybe slowly I can, start doing and showing my personality and doing something that I believe in and the way I want to put out content. But I'll tell you, like, if you initially start with that I'll do what everyone's doing, then that is going to overwhelm you, and down the line you're not going to be able to bring out your personality, because then you're starting from a place of getting validation, you're starting from a place of getting that approval from people, which is exactly the point that I'm trying to make, is we don't need that. None of us need that. Not just one person, or this person or that person. None of us need that. None of us need an approval or validation from anyone. So why do that in the first place? Like, why start something from that place? How you start is everything. Like, whatever you do in the beginning of whatever you start, that's the foundation laid right there. So then that's very important. That becomes very important because of that. From my experience, I would say that if you get into the content creation space, take time, a little bit of time, and think about these things. And it's good to do things from your comfort initially, or whatever, like whatever you believe in. A, why? Because that is also going to give you and increase your confidence that you can do it that way, like you have it in you, you have the ability in you to do it that way. And B, it's going to feel much more lighter. You're going to be less likely to give up, you're going to be less likely to be burnout, because you're enjoying it. You are constantly going to look for, then it's going to become fun, right? Like, then it's going to become play for you, it's not going to be work anymore, because you're going to be looking constantly for ways that, oh, maybe I can do this also, maybe I can do that also. And it's going to come more from inside you, within you, rather than you taking things from outside and then making something. Then you're constantly, then it's going to become a pattern that you're going to look outside of you to get something, to derive an inspiration or something. But like you have so many things within you that might excite you, so you just have to pick up on those things, and then it becomes so much more fun, and it becomes more like a play, and less like work that I have to do. From there, like, once you've done all of that, once you've done all the work of, you figured out, or what space, what kind of space you want to enter into, how you bring out your individuality and bring in that originality in your content, and also have thought about a little bit of how in a big or small way it contradicts with your personality. Once you've figured out all of that stuff and you're ready to start and everything, I think after that, once people have done so much thinking, the starting actually becomes the hardest part for some people, because I think again they are like, this one thing that comes up, right? And it comes up in all of our minds. It's not just that, oh, I'm different, or that person only has this thing. No, it comes up in everyone's mind that, oh, what if people don't like it, or what about the trollers, or what if people don't follow you, and all of that stuff. But to that, I think I have a I read this very interesting quote this morning, um, which said that don't worry if people aren't happy for you; they aren't happy for themselves either. Which I felt like, wow, it was so amazingly put and so well said, and it's so true as well. Like if you think about it, only the people who are not content in what they are doing, who are not happy within themselves, or even if they have great things going on, but they have this sort of pessimism that stops them from actually acknowledging that, I'm happy for myself. How can you expect those people to be happy for you? Like, that's crazy. No one should. And of course, you don't know, and it's not your job to sit and think what is someone going to think about whatever you want to do. How are they going to react to it? How are they going to perceive you? That's none of your business. Your focus should only be on the fact that, okay, this is what I'm interested in. This is how I feel like if I do it's going to work for me, and this is how I'm going to do it, finally. That's all. That's your work. Rest of, oh, if someone is going to follow me, not follow me, doesn't matter. It's not important, because there are 7 plus billion people in the world, you know, and we only think about the 500 people around us. And those 500 people ain't important. Like, you know, I'm not saying not important, but like nobody's opinion about what you should be doing in your life, you should take that seriously. You don't know what biases they are coming from. And it's not your job to convince somebody that believe in my idea before you believe in your idea. People will only believe in your idea once you do it, and once they see that you are going to do it, irrespective of if they follow you, if they support you, if they encourage you, doesn't matter. You are going to do what you're going to do, and you're still going to keep doing it. Eventually, I've seen that people come around. Even if they don't, it's fine. New people will come around who resonate with you, who like the energy that you have, who like the vibe that you have, and who like what you're doing. So either way, you win. Like, if the people around you start supporting you, great. If they understand where you're coming from, and if they want to, they decide to encourage you and support you and cheer for you, great. That's lovely. Everyone wants that. And, that's great if that happens for you. But my point is, you can't not let yourself start thinking that what if people don't support me? That is what you shouldn't be doing. You can't start from there. You can't start from wanting people to support you and then I'll do something, and then, if people cheer for me and encourage me, that doesn't happen. It might happen for a few people, great, that's amazing. But for the majority of people, that won't happen. So you need to stop putting your energy into that. You need to stop putting your energy into that negative thought pattern, that inner self doubt that we all have, right? It's not just about, even I've had, like, that inner self dialogue, that whatever. Like, I'll just give a small example. Every time I shoot an episode, like every time, okay, not once has it been that I shoot an episode, a podcast episode, and I'm like, wow, 2 days later, I'm like, wow, I still feel good. Like, I still feel like I did a great job. Once I finish doing it, the next moment itself, like when I'm in the car, when I'm going back, or like maybe like a few hours later, let's say 1 or 2 hours later, I'd be like, I didn't do it right. I didn't do well. I could have done this. I could have done that. I could have asked this. I could have asked that. And that constantly just goes on and plays in my mind, right? It's not that, um one of the reason for making this also, that people might think it's so easy to do this because it's just sitting and talking. But it's not. It's not easy at all. It comes with its own challenges, and um, maybe more challenges sometimes than other professions, because putting yourself out there in front of people is never easy, will never be easy. And compared to when you work around a very close knit environment and a very controlled environment, you can control things better. Your mind doesn't uh, give you these inner self doubt as much. But with this, there are chances that constantly you will have that, which I still do. Like every time like I said, I shoot an episode, it's like, oh, that wasn't right, that wasn't right. It just constantly keeps playing in my head until I see the first edit of the video. Sometimes I even like postpone it. I'm like, I don't want to see it because I feel like it's not turned out well, it's not come out well, it's not come out well. It constantly goes on in my mind, and then I see the video, like I see the first edit, and I'm like, this is great, I love it, like it's turned out fine, it's going well, I like it, I am also enjoying watching this. And every time this happens, but still that thought doesn't stop. But what am I going to do? Am I going to just sit and entertain that thought? Am I going to just sit, stop everything and be like, okay, so this thought came and now I just have to give in to this thought, like whatever it's saying? That's crazy, no? Like that shouldn't be the case. So my point is that you can't let all these inner dialogue, self talk, or like inner self doubt basically stop you from doing what you want to do. Sometimes it can be your own inner self doubt. Sometimes, like I said, while you will be worried about the people around you. In any case, you should not be worried about these things. There are bigger things that you should be worried about, which is like, oh, once I've decided I'm going to do this, let's see how am I going to manage executing it. Once you manage to execute it, how am I going to manage to execute it to the best of my ability and keep improving with it and keep doing better and better with it? So that should be your concern rather than what someone else will think. There are times when you might have a self doubt, but you might fail to recognize and differentiate between what is a self doubt and what is actually a personality trait that you have that is contradicting with what you want to do. If it's a self doubt or if it's a personality trait, how do you find out for yourself? Is I can't say there's a formula to it. It's each to his own. You have to sit and figure it out that, whether it's this or that. But it's important to figure it out, because then you have that much ease and that much calmness and peace in you, and you know when to push yourself, when to pause, when to take a break, and all of that stuff again comes into the preparedness and everything. Another thing that I feel is also very, very important that nobody talks about. Like, why I believe in this thing so much? Because since I read this quote, I felt like, yeah, now I always keep that in mind. I always keep that with me, and I live through that, like live out from that, which is don't test your willpower, optimize your environment, which made so much sense. Like, I used to always be very confident that I'm a strong person and I can handle any situation and I can handle any mishap and I can handle any ups and downs or like difficult situations and this and that and difficult people and all of that, right? But when I read this quote, it just changed my mind and it just made me feel like you don't necessarily need to do that. And, you know, that became a changing point. And I feel like so many of us feel like that to achieve something big, we need to be so hard on ourselves. We need to put ourselves through so much pressure and through so much, critical, being self critical and, being hard on ourselves, basically, that only then we can achieve it. There's no other way. There's not a nicer, smoother, a much more balanced way, or not even balanced, but a much more optimized way. I think optimized is a good is a perfect right word for it. So like when I read this quote, I think I was like, yes, this makes sense. Like you don't you create an environment, you so many people that you guys see on the internet, so many people that create content, chances are that their environment, the kind of people they are around, or the kind of circumstances and situations they are in, is a big part of why they're able to do what they're able to do. And we forget that. We all know that deep down, subconsciously and consciously, we all know that. But we forget that. And we pressurize ourselves looking at someone else that, oh, this person can do it. But their situation is different, their circumstance is different than yours. So you don't need to compare yourself like that with anyone. And, you know, and if you want to do something and you feel that, okay, your situation is not, you know, fully supportive or fully like in line with what you would like to do, then I think the best way to do it is to optimize your environment. Now, how do you optimize your environment? What does your environment mean? Your environment means the immediate people that you hang out with, your friends, your family, um, the kind of habits do you have. That also is your environment. The kind of thoughts you have in your own mind. That's also is your own inner environment. So you need to create a very healthy environment for yourself, and you need to figure out what will be an healthier environment for me in order for me to actually be able to do this, you know. And it could be even in the smallest way, or it could be like a big change. That all depends on you. But I have realized that optimizing your environment makes a huge difference. You know, it will feel less of a climb uphill if you optimize your environment. If the people around you are supportive and encouraging of you, or if your inner dialogue is much more softer and positive of you, and if you have habits that keep you healthy and happy and, you know, calm and peaceful, then that is going to be beneficial for you to do it. So you need to figure out, this is one of the biggest, most important points of not just being able to do content creation, but anything, but especially if you do content creation, your environment matters. What, you know, it's going to dictate if you're going to be able to push through when things are hard, when things are tough. Because sometimes you might have it in you, but if you have people around you, if you have that inner voice in you or something that's like constantly weighing you down, then it's not going to help you. It's going to be more of a task for you. It's going to and it's going to feel more difficult. It's going to feel more challenging. And to do something well, you need to feel like, okay, it is a challenge, something is a challenge, but you feel excited to take on that challenge, not think of giving up because of that challenge, because it's too much to handle and it's too much to take for you. Now, moving on to the other point, one of the one of the things, or one of the other points that I feel like is also equally important, is that I feel like nowadays, um, people give up something that they want to do. Like, say for example, somebody must have thought of, okay, I want to do this. They might have put in like all the effort, all the thinking, all the thought process behind it. They might have even managed to start, and they might have even like in a slight way managed to, you know, make sure and like bring in all the elements in alignment to be able to do what they want to do. But then I've also seen that some of the people, the moment they will experience the slightest of discomfort or inconvenience, they will give up. They will be like, nope, this is not for me. Like, see, this is not working. Like, they will take that as that difficulty or that challenge as an evidence, and then they will give up. They're like, oh, maybe it's, see, everyone was saying that it's not meant to be. I'm not meant for this. I shouldn't be doing this, and I should maybe quit. I should maybe do something else. You let that affect you, and you let that take over you, and you let that discomfort become something that consumes you, instead of navigating through it and putting out processes and systems in place to deal with it, because a challenge is going to come up every now and then as well. So I feel like that is also one of the things that people don't talk about, that inconveniences, challenges, difficulties and discomforts, sometimes they are not all every time, they're not bad all the time. Sometimes they're very good. They help you to level up. Like, I'll give you again a very small example from my own personal journey, right? The editing part, you know, getting my videos edited has been the biggest, I wouldn't say challenge, but it takes up most of my energy, basically. Because how you shoot something is only one thing, only one part of it. But how you package it and present it and put it out there is what is going to dictate how people receive it, is going to dictate how people resonate with it. So I put a lot of thought and detail into the editing work. I I become very much involved, and I think of things a lot, and I try to, you know, make it as near to perfect as possible. It's never perfect, and I still have to release something that I might feel like that one slight thing, if it was here, it would have been perfect. But I have to be okay with it because 90% of it is perfect. What I'm trying to say is, in that case, you push through. You don't let yourself give up. You don't let yourself get overwhelmed by it. And, you, if needed, you just, in that one day, you just go back to sleep. And then the next morning, I can promise you, you'll have a fresher mind and you're going to start figuring it out again until it's done, which has happened with me and which has been the case with me for everything that I've wanted to do. I'm like, okay, it's not working right now. Let me just let it be for a while. And then tomorrow I'm going to come back with a fresh mind, with fresh perspective, with fresh energy, and I'm going to start do it all over again. Even if that day didn't work out, then I'm like, I'm going to do it again. Like, so, I mean, like you can see, there have been many such experiences and small bumps in the road that I've experienced, but I didn't let myself quit because of those few moments of discomfort and inconvenience. And I just mentioned two three big examples, but there have been many plenty of such small things also that have happened, gone wrong, delays. But then these are the things you deal with. These are the things you, like, okay, you can't do anything about it, and whatever you can do, you can do. But if at after a certain point, if you can't do something about it, then you just have to let it be. And yeah, but not give up because of it, that's for sure. you know Now I think I'll move to the last and the final point that I want to make, or the learning sort of that I have had in this journey, that I would like to share with everyone watching who's thinking of getting into this space. Is very, is kind of, some people might find it funny, and like, is very, some people might find it counterintuitive as well. But I feel, to create content, you also need to consume content, which is a very contradictory thought to what so many people out there say on the internet, which is like, oh, I just, it's become fancy almost, that you don't consume content, you just put out content for people. They think very highly of themselves if they tell other people that, oh, I don't watch this, I don't watch that, and I only like read books, or I only like like give out content, not consume content. I would tell you for sure from my own personal experience as well. And I'm sure everyone who's created content has consumed content. Only after that they started making content. But this they will never share. And or I don't think very many people have shared this. But I feel like it's very, very important. Like, when you, like, say for example, even right now, some people might be watching this and they might feel like, okay, I have an understanding of how to go about this process, and let me start doing something. And you might start actually doing this, content creation, or whatever the work that you like, the space that you want to get into. But eventually you feel like, okay, now I've learned this much, and you start putting that out, and then you're done. Like, you don't have any more inspiration, or any more intrigue, or any more wonder, curiosity, or you know different perspective left in you, if you're constantly doing that one thing on the loop over and over again, if you're not taking break, or if you are not consuming content of people who are doing something completely different than what you are doing. Because that's how you build perspective, that's how you um, evolve, that's how you grow, you know as a person, and in your mind as well. When you w- watch or surround yourself with people who think differently than you, who do things differently than you, because then it's I can't emphasize it enough. It's one of the biggest and most underestimated quality to have, that being okay with somebody else being different, and in fact learning from them. And because it's a great thing, it's a great blessing to have if you have friends or people around you, or if you watch content of people who are completely different than you, who maybe live in another country than you know and that's what's gonna like give you a new perspective. It comes to the full circle, when I say this, that's what's gonna bring in that spark of individuality in you. When a fresh perspective is born in your mind, that's called individualistic, you know and originality. That you saw something completely random, and now how you're going to do your work, learning from that. I mean, I don't even know if there's something more amazing than that. And I watch myself personally, I watch a lot of different kinds of content. I watch a lot of documentaries, I watch a lot of people's interviews, podcasts, like shows. Like, not, I don't watch too many like series and stuff, which are like more story based. If they're very good, I do. There's no restriction that I don't watch only. But yeah, but things that interest me, excite me, and things that are something completely different, I definitely make it a point. Like, okay, I'll give you this one small example. Whenever I have to prepare for a shoot, like right now, things have been so hectic lately that I'm constantly like shooting back to back to back. Like, I have few like weeks in between, or 1 or 2 weeks in between, but I don't have that kind of time, right, that I had before, which was like I used to have like so much free time on, like, without an end, to contemplate, to ruminate, to daydream, to think about things. I don't have that anymore, but I miss that. And so I feel like I have to consciously make an effort to sometimes not talk too much before a shoot, because I'm constantly talking in a shoot. Or to watch, like I said, watch something completely random, some new content that might bring a fresh perspective to me, which will help me when I interview someone. Or just stay quiet, maybe, and just listen to music, or listen, again. So that's the beauty of it, that it's not just about watching different kinds of content or people of different cultures and countries and all of that, but as something as simple as even food can give you a fresh perspective. Like, if you have a dish that's from a different country, or if you have, because they use flavors very differently, you know so I feel like all these experiences, and the more you explore in that sense, the more you're going to get better and better, and put out more refined content, and more interesting content that is going to keep your audience very, very interested and curious to keep coming back and watching you over and over again, because they feel like every time you will do something completely different, and it will not be generic and monotonous. So, yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope you found it informative. I hope you found it fun. I hope you had fun listening to some of the personal moments that I had during the podcast and everything. And I hope it helps you. And if it does, do share in the comments below, what did you think of it? And what are your thoughts on this? That what are some of the things that people don't talk about enough, that we all need to talk about, and make it very like you know easy for all of us to exist in a digital space like this. Okay, one more thing, sorry, I forgot this one more thing before I do this. I have to quickly address this one more thing, which is um pe- people who are not into social media, like they feel like, okay, they can't do social media, but they might want to explore it. I think especially for them, you should not think that it's hard, and it's just for a particular type of people or something. You can definitely figure out a way for yourself, because I'll tell you why. Because for the longest time, and even now, I am not a big social media person myself, but I try to look for things that I enjoy. I try to make things that I enjoy, and that way it becomes bearable, and doable and tolerable. So yeah, this was just one small quick tip for anyone who is not a social media person, but you also can still get into the social media world, if you want to and if you try to. And yeah, so yeah, that's it, and I'll just leave it at that. And I hope to hear from you guys and see you soon in the next episode. And also do share in the comments what are some of the topics that you would like me to talk about in the next solo episode, and I will definitely try to make an episode on that. So yeah, thank you.